life, isn't it? Success, good reputation, I love people, they love me, and like that. But the thing is, we could have so much more. And I think this is what is missing a little bit in our Western mind, is the third of the Four Noble Truths. You know, when Geshe talks about the Dharma, then he talks about the Buddha's teachings, which is 84,000. So we will not be able to do this in an hour and a half. But like the foundation of it, something that in all the spiritual Buddhist tradition is always the same, that the Buddha is saying there is suffering, which is not wanted. Nobody wants to suffer. Everybody wants to be happy. You know, I mean, 24 hours a day, we don't have even 1 second in these 24 hours when we say, oh, I wish I'd have some suffering today. Yeah, this very innate feeling that we don't want to suffer, this is what we have. So this we understand. We understand we don't want to suffer. Then the next noble truth, the causes of suffering, which is our previous actions, most probably from past lives, not from this life, and our reaction to them, to negative, like when something happens that we dislike, then our reaction to it with creating more negative karma because we do them under the influence of our disturbing emotions. These are the causes for our suffering or unhappiness. Maybe suffering is a too strong word also. Maybe the word suffering is too strong. But this kind of, you know, we're very easily frustrated. We're very easily stressed. It doesn't need much for us to totally lose our open heart and our reason and all this. And we just go, we're tense and we're tight and we're unhappy, basically, isn't it? We actually even say, I don't feel myself. It needs very, very little. Yeah. So, and so that would be the causes for our suffering, is our, especially creating more and more and more imprints, like karmic imprints, that will continue with the suffering, that will continue again and again and again to meet causes, to meet conditions where it is very, very difficult to be happy. So that's why. And then the third of the Four Noble Truths, and this is the one we always forget a little bit because we don't hear about them, that it's possible to get to eliminate all causes of suffering, like especially the negative emotions or our disturbing emotions, that it is possible to live a life without disturbing emotions. And when you hear this for the first time, you go like, what do you mean? This is not possible. Yeah, because we are so used to function under the control of those negative emotions that we actually even think that these short moments of happiness that we have them thanks to our attachment, because attachment gives us the strength and the interest to go and get something. Or I have them because of my aversion, because my aversion gives me the strength and the courage to get rid of something. And we hardly ever have tasted a mind that is totally calm, totally open, and totally aware, awake. Yeah. So we don't really know that, and we just need to trust. Or we will do maybe also a short reflection on maybe when we have these short moments. And this is, I think, what is lacking. So the interest in wanting to get rid of these causes of suffering that we actually call happiness is very, very, very little. Lama Zopa Rinpoche, he says like, you know, being attached to the pleasures of samsara, like sense pleasures, especially those, yeah, that we run after, that we're so yearning for, and we keep creating and creating and creating. And not only that, you see, the good is not good enough for us. We have this very strong urge. It always has to be better and better and better and better. This is why we make so much progress, because we have the positive karma to make so much progress. And we use it for these useless things, which are sense pleasures, that once your sense is not in contact with the object anymore, this is it. It's gone. And we would have access, or we could have so much more happiness by just understanding the nature of reality. By understanding, I think it makes me happy. Yeah, of course, it makes you happy for a short moment. But then it creates yearning and it creates problems, as Geshe said, because all these possessions and all this. We think it creates security, but it creates fear of loss. It creates stress, it creates worries and all these kinds of things. Yeah, so to be free of these fears and worries, we want this, we would very much like. So then we keep amassing more and more and more and more to have more security. Yeah. And we don't even notice that something that made us feel secure at the beginning, after a while, it's also not good enough. I remember maybe 4 years ago, I received my pension from the Swiss government, like 1,200 francs a month. Just, I got it in the bank account for doing nothing. It was so much. I look at it now, I think, oh, they could give me a bit more. How am I going to survive on this in this very expensive country? You see, 5 years ago, I didn't worry about this. How am I going to survive? Yeah, it was the same amount, but it seems as if it's not the same anymore. And this is what attachment is doing. It wants more and more and more and more. So maybe you noticed also Geshe, he was almost screaming at us at the beginning. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche is doing that as well very often, because I think these realized teachers, they really try to shake us up and say, come on, guys, what are you doing? Your conditions to be able to practice the Dharma, they are so perfect at the moment, and you're just kind of playing around. Of course, I don't want to say this to you personally, because everybody has to really see where you are and what you are seeking, what you are searching. Why are you doing spiritual practices? Yeah. Of course, if somebody starts to be interested in spiritual practices, I wouldn't start with teachings like this, because as I'm saying, it would drive them away, because they haven't tasted yet, for example, the freedom of having a mind that is aware, the freedom of being able to apply antidotes, patience, or non-attachment, or wanting to share to attachment and anger. New people, they haven't seen the benefit of the Dharma yet. Yeah? But once you start to practice and you can see the truth in it, I think then it's quite okay. So when Shachar asked me that I should do this review and the meditations, I thought, oh. So we'll see how it goes anyway. So this is not to make your life more miserable than it already is. Yeah. This is to maybe turn your nose in another direction so that we look where true happiness lies. Happiness that lasts, which is another precious human rebirth. And then liberation from our to being under the control of our negative emotions, and finally enlightenment, where we have the potential and the capacity to have peerless, lasting happiness, to have the skillful means to be able to help others, not if they don't want to. You see, as a Buddha, you're not omnipotent. You cannot, go to your prime minister and tell him to do different things. It's like this. Not even the Dalai Lama could do. But if somebody is ready to hear how to transform the mind, you would have the skillful means to do that. So this is why he very much talked about the Dalai Lama also, where he said, I don't know if you are watching the Dalai Lama in the morning sometimes, early morning, and you see what kind of people are listening to him. They're not Buddhists. Yeah, most of them are Indians or American, and they're professors and scientists and very, very famous people. And what he says is not really spectacular. I mean, what he says, everybody knows here. Yeah. But they listen to him and they're really happy to listen to him. Why? Because he's practicing, not just practicing. Practicing means you're training. Yeah, maybe we are practicing. He's doing these things. Yeah. He's really living the Dharma, and this is why he's so inspiring. And I think then he talks to us he kind of wakes something up in us that we also have, the good heart, the wisdom to see what brings happiness, what brings suffering, and these kind of things. Okay, so these teachings that Geshe is going to give you, they're not comfortable. So if you are doing spiritual practices to feel comfortable in this life, you might not be very happy to hear it, because you haven't seen the suffering, or you haven't seen the pain yet, or maybe now we're starting to see the pain of not being in control, the pain of not being able to get all the things we want to get, meaning some kind of, security, financial security, health, good friends, and all this. Everything can fall apart like every moment. And now we're starting to feel that pain, where the so-called first world has also been attacked by this virus. Yeah, so I think then we start to understand a little bit better. But do we have to trust, when he says, to trust ourselves in the Dharma? And I know quite a few of you. So I know that you know the Dharma. So then when we are not so well, is our mind going there? Are we not still very much involved in making samsara a better place for us and for others, with a good heart, when you fight for all these things? I'm not saying, hello, I'm not saying that you don't do this with a good heart, but it's still not bringing the Dharma 100% into it, I think, by seeing the impermanence, by seeing the protection of our mind, by seeing the emptiness of it. So Geshe started to, he talked quite a lot about the three principal aspects of the path. And David, can I do a screen sharing?
Yes, of course.
Okay, great. Can you see the text?
Yeah, we see.
Okay, great. So maybe we just read the few first verses that he was talking about, because it shows you the whole path. But as he said also, and as Varda very nicely, there's a commentary of His Holiness on the internet. I mentioned the book by Geshe Sonam Rinchen, which I liked very much, which is also a commentary on it. It's good to get a commentary, or if you really know what these points are all about. So the way that this very short prayer, it's not a prayer, actually it's a teaching. So the way that this very short teaching is set up is by telling, first of all, what are these three principal aspects of the path? They are sometimes called renunciation, but I talked about it to Irit the other day, when she joined the puja, because my Google translator translated your webpage into German. And the way renunciation was translated was ein Heilbewusstsein, meaning an awareness that seeks healing, or that seeks the good. So, the word renunciation also in German is horrible. It means Entsagung, means like you let go of something that you don't want to let go of. So Lama Yeshe always, he called renunciation, he called it definite emergence, like a wish to get out from something that is not satisfying, but there is something that would be more satisfying. Yeah. So we all know renunciation. We always change, quite happily, we change something that is not so good when we know there's something better. So for example, when I was a kid and the first time, from Switzerland, in Italy at the shore of the Mediterranean, we saw shells. Can you imagine? We got really excited about this. So we started to collect all the shells we found, but then of course we stayed like 2 weeks. So then these broken shells that we collected at the beginning, not shells, sorry. The broken shells, we left behind. We threw them away again because we found more and more and more beautiful ones. So renunciation is not difficult when we know that there's something better, okay? So the something better would be an open, calm, tender, wise heart or mind, or whatever you might want to call this. So how to do that is like first having renunciation, or I want to get out of being reborn under the control of negative emotions again and again and again and again. Then bodhicitta, not just for myself. And then how do I do this? By getting a right view, which is like knowing how reality exists, like the emptiness teaching. So these are the three principal aspects. Renunciation, I'll call it because renunciation also because Geshe calls it renunciation. You try to put a good word in it in Hebrew. Iri told me in Hebrew it's also looking for the good or something like this. So that's very good. Looking for the better, you know. We already have this instinct, looking for the better. But unfortunately, we look in the wrong place. Like we look in sense pleasures, in friends, in reputation, and in having financial security, which we will never have anyway. So the way it's built up is by first it says, what is renunciation? Then it says, how do you develop it? And then it says, when do you know that you have developed it? So we'll just look at renunciation because that's what Geshe was talking about. And as every of these texts, it starts by expressing a homage, you know, so that the ego is already lowered. Me, I myself, Lama Tsongkhapa says, me, myself, I would never have been able to compose such a text. So he expresses homage to his perfect gurus, which for us is really good to do also. You know, every time you feel that your Dharma practice works, please think about the gurus that have taught you, because then you have a constant reminder of, I don't need to get proud about this. And also this connection with the guru that then remains really, really pure. And so the guru can guide you in a better way, because sometimes we're a bit stubborn. We still think, I know better than the guru. He doesn't know me, so why should I follow his instructions? He doesn't know the Western life, you know, so he wouldn't know really how to guide me. So then we do whatever we like doing, and then still, so it's not the perfect relationship with the guru. So then he's the promise to compose. The essential meaning of the victorious one's teachings, the path praised by all the holy victors and their sons, means the Four Noble Truths. Yeah, I didn't tell you the fourth one, which is the path. Yeah, there is suffering. These are the causes for the suffering. You can end the suffering, and how. This is taught by all the Buddhas, by all the victorious ones. The gateway of the fortunate ones desiring liberation, this I shall try to explain as much as I can. So here you have already two things that are very important. He's teaching those for the fortunate ones, the lucky ones who desire liberation. So this text, already you have understood the Four Noble Truths. This is why also Geshe didn't go into it. Yeah, because this is a text, you understand there is suffering. These are the causes of suffering. Hello, I want to get out of here. How? Okay, by renunciation, bodhicitta, and an understanding of emptiness. And already then now here we have to see, do I belong in this category? Because if I don't belong in this category, I will get very unhappy listening to this text and listening to Geshe-la's teachings. So those who are not attached to the pleasures of cyclic samsara, of which we have many, you know, especially in Switzerland, also you in Israel, compared to other beings, you know, who strive to make freedoms and endowments meaningful. The present situation that is so precious. We have the teachings. We have somebody like the Dalai Lama that comes into your living room, you know, so often now. You don't even have to travel to Dharamsala. He's there with you in your living room. All you have to do is get up early in the morning. Please, you know, make this effort. It has such a good influence on your mind, really. I would even say, don't watch the webcast. Get up in the morning. You have time. You know, hardly anybody's doing something so early in the morning, unless you're a baker or a nurse or a doctor. So who strive to make freedoms and endowments meaningful. Again and again, again. Ask yourself, what is my life making meaningful? Yeah. Who entrust themselves to the path pleasing the victorious ones. So we need to know this path. You fortunate ones, listen with a calm mind, with a happy mind, with an open mind. Okay. So then why do we need renunciation? So this is the first one. Without the complete intention, definitely to be free from circling, there is no way to pacify attachment, seeking pleasurable effects in the ocean of circling. Also, by craving for cyclic existence, embodied beings are continuously bound. Therefore, at the very beginning, seek renunciation. If we want peerless happiness for ourselves, forget about the others yet. So this is first for ourselves. I want to be happy. I don't want to be under the influence of those negative emotions anymore. I'm fed up. I had it, to be frustrated about this, that these disturbing emotions have so much power over us. Yeah. And then we fall into the trap again and again and again and again. So thinking like this, maybe I look at you again, then I open it again afterwards. I need to see your faces, how you react, because I'm always a bit worried when I talk like this, okay? So in order to be able to think like this, you need to have a lot of self-confidence, yeah? To start to believe in your good heart, to start to believe that you do have the potential to be free of those negative emotions. How do you do that? By listening to the teachings again and again and again and again and again, by reflecting on them. How much do I trust? How much do I believe? And then by meditating on them, by making your mind familiar with this. Not to like me, for example. It's very hot in Switzerland at the moment also. It's above 30 degrees. So we have a very nice river that flows through the city. So at the moment, there's hundreds of people swimming in that river because it's deep and it kind of sweeps you down. For a short moment, I had a thought, maybe I should go swimming again, So it's like, it feels like I'm missing out on something. It feels like, oh, how can I be happy not to go swimming and with these hundreds of other people? I could catch the virus there, and I need to go down the slope, then I need to come up again. I tell you, I sweat more coming back up from the river than I sweat now not going to the river. So, but we need to look at this again and again and again and again and really know what we want, what will make my life meaningful every morning, this kind of thought. This is what will really help. But if you feel low and you think you're nobody and you're totally overcome by your negative emotions all the time, then that's not the right point to start with. Then you need to start with building yourself up, creating or practicing self-compassion, practicing awareness, knowing through training that when the mind is calm, even though everything outside falls apart, I can still be calm and open, like David this morning when the thing didn't work. You were really impressive, I tell you. It was really great. So this is how, and I think maybe you faked it. I don't know, David, but it looks like you're inside and outside, both sides, totally calm, So, so this is it. So that we start to, I want this, not depending anymore on so-called financial security, not depending anymore on so-called, independence. We all think that, when we get old, I have to go to an old people's home. I will be then dependent on others. This whole thing about independence is a total fake. It's a total illusion. All your clothes, your shoes, your house, everything that keeps you alive comes from others. How can you think you're independent? It's a total illusion. And we forget. We think we only get dependent on others when they need to kind of carry our body. And then we want an electrical wheelchair so that nobody has to push us. Then we get very lonely in our so-called independence also. Yeah. It's all like that. So let's go back to the text maybe, otherwise we don't get to the meditations. Okay, so how do we create renunciation? Freedoms and endowments are difficult to find, and life has no time to spare. By gaining familiarity with this, attraction to the appearance of this life is reversed. So here, this one verse, why we have to generate renunciation, we need to put the trust in the Dharma. That's the first point that Geshe was pointing out. And then the next one is how to generate renunciation by loosening our attachment to the so-called good things in our life, and to see that there's something, much more beneficial and much more worthwhile to be gained. And also to see freedoms and endowments, to see now is the time, because now we have the conditions and the causes. The causes, we have trust in the Buddha Dharma, at least some trust, There will be times where we have no trust, like many, many other beings, they have no trust. Otherwise, everybody would practice Buddhism. So it could be one of us, but this life, something has ripened in us that we are attracted to these things, and we have trust, and we want to practice. So that was the first point. Yeah. So then, in order to trust the Dharma, we need to start to trust our potential of goodness. Then the next one is to loosen our attachment, is to see, even if I'm a beggar, then who cares? Because none of these things I can take with me, so we have to think about this. So that was point 2 and 3. So by thinking over and over again, the actions and their effects are unbetraying, and repeatedly contemplating the miseries of cyclic existence, attraction to the appearances of future lives is reversed. So first we need to want another precious human rebirth. How are we creating this? By practicing ethical conduct, really taking care of our karma. Yeah. Like here, the actions and their effects are unbetraying, by having trust that we create our future at the moment with our actions of body, speech, and mind. So ethical conduct, generosity, and patience. This is not so terribly difficult to do, actually. This we can not just practice or train in this life, but we can also do. Yeah. So many of the negative actions, we don't have to do them. We can by being mindful and not falling into the trap of following our negative emotions by, by resisting and by saying no. So that we at least make sure that next time round, we have again the ability to practice. But then we want to go even further, because then it's only then, at the beginning, we start to look at the good things in our life. When we are convinced of this and we are more or less relaxed and say, oh, wow, yes, I am so fortunate. Then we start to look at the negative things. We start to look at the difficult things. And then we start to kind of think about dukkha. So Geshe didn't talk so much about this, so I won't go into that either. But you, from your side, again, like what you can do during the week, your homework, that you start to watch your mind when you get dissatisfied. Okay, you go, this is dukkha. What are the causes? Yeah. Do I want to be free of it? Yes. So we start to concentrate on the negative things. If we keep concentrating on the positive things, then there's no way we want to go out of it. So by thinking over and over again, the actions and their effects are unbetraying, and repeatedly contemplating the miseries of cyclic existence. So at the moment, maybe none of us is totally miserable, but we will lose it at the time of death, or maybe even before. And we don't know where we're going to end up. So this is what he's talking about. So attraction to the appearances of future lives is reversed. So we want to go all the way, not just, short renunciation of a body that is making pain, or friends that are no good, or a prime minister that is no good and you want to have a better one. That is very short renunciation. So then when do you have generated renunciation is when, by having trained in that way, there is no arising, even for a second, of attraction to the perfections of cyclic existence, and all day and night the intention seeking liberation arises, then the thought of renunciation has been generated. Okay? So that's that. When for no moment. So I think we can see that we're very far from there. At least I am. Yeah. But at least I can see that I'm kind of far from there. Okay, so I think, what time did we start? 9:30, yeah, I think, or 10:30 your time. Okay, so we still have, I still have an hour, yeah, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, so maybe we do some reflection on what Geshe said, and then if you have questions, you are welcome to ask questions. So I will go in one go on the reflection, so it might last maybe 40 minutes or something like that. So if you feel that you need to move, yeah, please move, but just briefly, and try to make this like a reflection or an analytical meditation. Try to go inside also to, I will ask you questions that you have to ask yourself, and then try to go from the head to the heart. Because in the head, the ones who have heard these teachings many, many times, we all have it. But it's not in the heart. And this is what Geshe means when he says, the person and the teachings, they are not one. But by being aware of what it does in your heart, by understanding on a more subtle level, when the mind is calm, then slowly, slowly, it starts from going from here, it goes more tak, 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 until then, because me also, habitual kind of behavior out of attachment slowly, slowly changes into being really able to let go, and letting go, not like my attachment saying, I'm not going to the river, because I still suffer not going to the river, you see. So by being able to let go without having the feeling I missed out on something. Yeah. Now, for example, already as a young person, I had no wish for children. I don't know why, yeah, but I had no wish for children. So when I see happy families with children, I have zero feeling of, I missed out. I rejoice that they have a good, good relationship. Then when I see the problems that children can bring, then I definitely don't have a feeling that I missed out. I can tell you. Then I go like, wow, so difficult to have this responsibility, especially if your children don't cooperate with you. You have very good intentions. You want to make them good human beings with a good heart, with some wisdom, with some reason, kind of reasoning, to be able to look after themselves. And what do? They go totally the different direction. I mean, so much suffering. Yeah. So it's neither I'm happy that I don't have children or I'm unhappy that I don't have children. It's just okay that I don't have children. Yeah. So this is for all the people, for all the women and men who don't have children, and you think you missed out on something. You didn't. It's okay. Yeah, we can rejoice. So this is what I mean. So if you feel pain a little bit in your meditation, it's okay to move, but don't be too comfortable, okay? Also, like, don't try not to lie down unless you have a back problem, something like that, okay? Because your mind will become more clear, more stable when you have a straight back, and there's a reason why we sit like this. Okay, so if you want to close your camera, it's fine. If you want to leave it open, it gives you much more energy to stay put, because I got the gallery view, so I see what you're doing. So so then it will be like as if everybody else can see you too. So I usually recommend to people when we meditate, leave your camera on, because then you get the energy of the group the same way as you get when you meditate in a group, because for the group's sake, you're not moving. Now I hope it's not so that I don't start to think, oh, wow, she's really lazy, because that would be the second not good motivation, like Geshe said, when you think about what others think of you. But to think, I leave the camera on because it will, especially when you have problems sitting or you're a bit undisciplined, that it will give me the discipline to stay put. And then you develop, this is how the training goes. You know, then you can extend your meditation and becomes longer, and you can sit without pain for quite a while. Okay. Okay. So the first thing we always do is to connect with the body. You feel how your body is sitting, where it touches. And you can, because it's about renunciation, maybe do some mindfulness just for 5 minutes or 3 minutes, because we don't have so much time, but also as a training for the week, to notice not just the body, but also to notice sensations. We're so totally unaware of those sensations. What is a pleasant sensation? What is an unpleasant sensation? And then try not to react, but to see the reaction immediately. Then don't react to the reaction, but really be with the sensations. Don't be afraid of the unpleasant ones. It's okay. They're also impermanent. It's a very, very good method to keep you there. Sometimes better than the breath. You know, we're not doing shamatha, so we're doing more mindfulness. Look out for these sensations, because you will need them also in the reflection to be able to recognize pleasant, unpleasant. It's like a waterfall. Don't produce them, just look. And then feel what it does to the mind. Without wanting the pleasant ones, without not wanting the unpleasant ones, just notice them. This is what basic awareness is. The mind of a Buddha just notices, just knows. When you get distracted, just come back to sensations. Notice the pleasant ones as pleasant. Notice the unpleasant ones as unpleasant. Try to see your need, urge, want to react, especially to the unpleasant ones. So then we start to look at our reaction, and we start to see, how much do I trust my potential that I can notice a negative sensation without reacting to it, without tensing up, without closing, without wanting it to go away, but welcoming it to stay and to explore its nature. How much do we trust that potential? And by reacting, I don't mean that if there's a fire breaking out, you're not reacting and running away. By reacting, I mean more a mental reaction. This should not be. Why is it there? And especially the closing up. And going, the scientists would say, going from the cortex to the reptile brain, to the amygdala. flight, freeze, or fight? Do we trust our potential that we can react in a different way? Open heart, open mind, calm. So if you don't trust it, try to remember a moment when you did do the right things to do without tensing up, without frustration, without stress. And remember these moments again and again and again. So Geshe talked about the first point, put your trust in the Dharma. So then again, try to remember moments when you think, today I really practiced. So what does that mean for you? A day or an hour or a minute? What does it really mean to trust the Dharma? So what it means is that when negative things happen, we don't put the blame outside. Or we immediately think, oh, negative karma ripening. That, again, it doesn't mean you don't react. This is why it's so dangerous to talk about these things to beginners. You can react to unpleasant situations, but not with anger, not with hatred, not with jealousy, not with attachment, but with the view of everything is impermanent, everything is a dependent arising, and everything is empty. A projection of my deluded mind. When you feel that you sense of, I want this, or I don't want this, when you feel that this feeling of I is decreasing, you become more open, more reasonable, more wise. That is Dharma practice. You can be happy about the good results of your Dharma practice, but that almost goes a bit into arrogance. So see, this is how subtle this whole thing is. When your positive reaction, your reaction in a Dharma way has become a habit, and you're not happy about it anymore, but it's normal for you, then you have put your trust in the Dharma. So then Geshe said, like we don't practice Dharma so often because we have more important things to do. So you can start some reflection now. What am I worried about? What is it that I'm afraid about? Where does most of the time, where do my efforts go? And then you check. Will that be helpful at the time of death? And then especially another thing we need to check, do these worries change something? Do they make me more open, more calm, more compassionate? How can these worries make me more open, more calm, more compassionate? Could they do that? Could these worries actually contribute to my open heart? So now keep all the things you're worried about in your mind, and then we think about the shared humanity. And we think about the First Noble Truth. The Buddha is so right. No matter where I turn, nothing is really satisfactory. Everything always falls apart. Everything has thorns in it. Sometimes the thorns are very hidden, but at one point they start to scratch. The conditions that we live under, according to the Buddha, they're normal. Created by karma and by actions, negative actions, and disturbing emotions. What happens when you think about this, the things that you worry about? I have no control here. I can try to protect these things. I can try to create these situations. But at the end, it depends on what kind of seeds I have planted. Does it make you more open, more calm, more compassionate? Compassionate towards yourself, not being able to lift the potential of peerless happiness? Instead of beating yourself up how bad you are? And then open up your heart and think, wow, I am not the only one in this situation. Does that make you more calm, more open, and more compassionate? So to think about how to make things better, that's okay. But not just for me and for my family and my friends, but for all beings. So instead of worrying, we can bring in the Dharma and thinking, wouldn't it be wonderful if all beings were free from suffering and the causes of suffering? What I'm undergoing now, so many other beings are undergoing as well, and even much worse than what I do. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May I be able to free myself from the suffering and the causes of suffering, so I can lead all others to that state. So what started as a worry, we can transform it into Dharma practice by changing our thoughts and opening up. So then another thing you can do during the week, whenever you feel attachment to objects, situations, people, think about their nature. They are impermanent. They're not able to give me lasting satisfaction or happiness, although it looks like that. But that's just my projection. So if these objects, situations, and people make you happy, then bring in bodhicitta and think, may all beings enjoy the peerless happiness of being free from attachment, hatred, and wrong views. So you might think that it makes you depressed and sad, thinking about all those things, that we're going to lose them. At the beginning, definitely. But with time, we start to really appreciate the good things in our life. We become more relaxed. And then we start to see at the negative sides of being attached to them. Also, what it means to practice the Dharma is like during the week, during today, try to see the habit of wanting to make things better. Better food, better tea, better shoes, better car, better this, better that. There's no end to this. So no need to spend so much time on that. But it's very much okay to keep healthy so that we can practice. And it's also okay to relax sometimes so that you can practice. So then Geshe was saying that the masters of old, they were all beggars. Because as you see now, we are with the second point here, entrust yourself to be a beggar, like not to be attached to all these things. So then we can think, okay, yeah, that was Milarepa, but he was highly realized. What about me? I need all these things. So then we think about the third point that Geshe was talking about, death. So now, I know this will be painful, but just think all your objects that you're attached to. And we think we're not attached. Yeah, just look how we react when a thief comes and steals them. We only feel attachment when we lose the things. So what we are attached to and what we kind of put a lot of effort into building up and keeping and, worrying about them is the body, friends and family, and our possessions. So now we just think, about death. What can all these things do for me at the time of death? Again, I'd leave you for a little while. And imagine your objects, your house burns. You come home, all is gone. Your Buddha statues, your tankas, your shoes, your car. Can you take some consolation from these objects when you have to die? Will you be able, once the house is burned, to say, oh, but I had these things for so many years, how wonderful. Oh, now I don't have them anymore, so who cares? Would you be able to say that? then your friends, family, oh, so much attachment. They cannot prevent your death. So that's already the fourth point. Imagine nobody crying for you when you die. How did that sound? No funeral. Nobody being sad. Could you be happy about this? Nobody missing you when you're gone. Really go into your heart, not in the head. The head says, yeah, no problem. Are we sure? So at the first, this seems terrible. But then when we really check, why are we kind to the people that we like? Because we want to attach them to us. We want them to be unhappy when we're gone. So it gives us some kind of security. We're a good person. They like me. They suffer when I'm not there. They miss me. That's what we call love. Can you get used to the idea that would be a good thing when nobody suffers when you die? Not because you're such a bad person. Come on, don't go there. Wouldn't it be wonderful if people could just continue their life happily without me? Successful, happy, with other relationships. You see, we suffer from so much self-importance that we think that the world depends on us. We need to be needed to feel good about ourselves. How pitiful. And this is only because we don't know our nature. The nature of the mind which is free from all flaws, all attachments, all wanting to get rid of something, who is just aware, sees things as they are, impermanent, bound to suffering, and empty, a protection of the mind. Our ego needs affirmation that I'm a good person all the time. But if we do not believe in our own innate goodness, nobody else can make us believe it. So just now the thought, I am a good person. This is my nature. Please, it is so important. Let go of all the ifs and buts. My nature is pure. And already now I can live it if I'm mindful. And I know that I want to go in that direction. Not being nice to people so that they like me, but so that they are happy. So again, we can think about the loved ones that we will leave behind when we die. And we can generate the thought, may they let me die in peace without actually caring too much whether I'm alive or not. Try to get used to that idea. You will be able to die peacefully, without jealousy, without hatred, without attachment. Entrusting your happiness to die in a barren place. It even says in the root text, like a dog, that nobody wants. Try to relax into that thought and feel comfortable in the open tenderness of your love for your family and for your friends. Try to be happy that they will be happy without you. Okay, not so easy, isn't it? No, but feasible, it's possible, because we have to die one day anyway. And, the more we kind of push it away from us, the more we will suffer. And as I said at the beginning, when you start thinking like this, also it doesn't have to be your family, just your workplace or whatever, to think, oh, may they be able to survive without me? Things like this. It's just thoughts at the beginning, and slowly, we really start to appreciate, like the occasion or the opportunity that workplaces give us to do a good job. Family gives us the opportunity to love them, like that. So then we start to appreciate their presence much more, instead of to really see this affirmation that we need all the time. So then also, just to finish, Geshe was talking about Tsampa and Chang, like he called it wine, but it's Chang. Usually it's translated as beer, homemade wine, homemade beer. It's made out of barley. So the Tibetans, they love to mix Tsampa in it. Tsampa is like roasted barley flour. And then he said, then it sinks into it and you can't separate it anymore. It becomes one. So this is how our reactions should be Dharma reactions and not samsaric reactions. So how do we do this? By these 3 steps. Listening to teaching again and again and again and again. We have listened so much already, me included, so it's still okay to listen, but also then reflect on it. Does that appeal to my mind? Am I in accord with what it says, or do I think this is total nonsense? If it's nonsense and you think that it will increase your suffering, then that's not the right teaching for you. Then you have to find another teaching, but if by reflecting you think, wow, yeah, this I really want to be able to do. I die in a barren place without any funeral. Like we were at the funeral the other day, and so there's the chapel, and then there's the name on a board being outside, and then the person who was with me, she said, well, one day our name will be there. And I said, no, come on, one day I will be dead, but I don't want to have a funeral. Yeah, it's like just burn the body, scatter the ashes, and that's it. She said, hey, but what about the people who stay behind? They might want to do something. And I said, yeah, okay, if they want to do something, that's fine. So I wrote it in my will, from my side, you don't have to do anything. If you want to do something, by all means, do something. So, and I think this is genuine. I think and it's very easy because I don't have family. Yeah. So now please don't get rid of your family, okay? Because you say, oh, I'm leaving home, I'm leaving my house, and then so I can be like Losang and then not wanting to have a funeral. Think about them. And as I said, You know, just when Geshe had finished, this invitation came in for a concert. I might go, but if I go, go because of the musicians. I'm not going because of me. Yeah. So having vows, this is why it's so good to be a monk or a nun, because having vows, you know, you're not supposed to go to concerts, so please don't invite me. You're not supposed to go to movie theaters, so please don't invite me. Yesterday I was invited to somebody who has a swimming pool, and I said, no, I don't swim. He was like, wow, why? It's healthy and all this. No, you know, see, these vows are all to work with attachment, because if you know you can't do it, all of a sudden the attachment is gone. It takes a while, yeah, but it's okay. But you're lay people, so don't take it to the extreme. So, but when you do something that is good for you, think, may all beings enjoy this, okay? When you feel like an open heart towards friends and families, may all beings enjoy this. When you feel that there's suffering, may all beings be free from the suffering. And then bring the Dharma into it. Okay, karma ripening, okay, projection of my mind, good and bad, not out there, good and bad, only here, yeah. And then, hey, but it's just like an illusion, it's just like a dream. And there is a way out. I want to go there. Okay? Oh, are you going to enjoy your Saturday now still? Yeah? You can open your microphones, you can say something.
Yeah. As much as we
Do you
can.
have questions, comments? No? Wow. Are you also realize that you think, wow, great. I'm going to trust my whole life into the Dharma. I'm entrusting my life. Even I'm not going to worry about anymore about my financial kind of means. I don't know if you heard Mathieu Ricard yesterday. Did anybody watch him? Because he had a Zoom thing. Barda, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, also when he said, you know, he comes from a well-to-do family, but then he left everything when he was quite young and he had absolutely no financial means and this and that. And he said now, you know, then he had the idea, because he became famous and all this, that all his income would go to projects, and they're helping, I can't remember what he said, 300,000 people or something with the money. With the money.
Whole thing.
So then again, you know, the more you just worried, but I need to have enough for myself so I can give something, the more you will never have enough. The more you go like, wow, let me try and give something so I notice that I actually have enough, although I gave it. Yeah. This fear that we have. But again, you know, be reasonable. You have families, you have to support them and all this. But see it as, you know, like, let's say on the conventional level, you're the mother, you're the father, you're the son, you're the daughter. But on the ultimate level, you see that all is empty. So on the conventional level, you go to work, you earn money, but don't see this as the purpose of your life. Yeah. And do you remember the homeworks? First thing in the morning, what is it for me that makes my life meaningful? You have to find that out yourself. And the Dharma gives us so many good ideas what we could do with our life. You know, if it's just the meaning of my life, not to react to not to be slave of my negative emotions anymore. Just that. Can you imagine the world, how it would be? And if one person changes, which is you, not following these negative emotions anymore, we can't wait until everybody else is doing it and then we start to do it. If one person changes, I mean, look what one person can do to the world. This coronavirus, it started in one person. So we can have the love virus. You know, this is what Einstein is saying when in his letter to his daughter, Lena, I think was her name, that he said there is an energy in the world that is just as catching as bacteria and viruses, and it's called love. Real love, unattached love, is really catching and is so powerful. It's so contagious. And we can develop it. It needs to be developed. This is the thing, you know, if you have it here, that's the first step. But then it needs to go there. Yeah, and don't worry, you know, when I'm saying you should not be nice to people because you want to make them attached to you. You should be nice to people, of course, you know, because we also don't want them to be averse to us. Yeah, so when Lama Zopa Rinpoche says, you know, for example, also, it's such a good motivation in the morning. We don't know how this will happen, but the motivation is such. Whoever today hears me, sees me, thinks about me, talks about me, may it only be of benefit to them. It's so simple. It's an attitude, you know. At the beginning, you're not even asked to change your behavior. You're just asked to change your attitudes. Hello? Are you still with me, or have you already shut down, gone into Shabbat mood or something? So when you know, when you ask yourself, yeah. Somebody had the mic on, wanted to say something. Okay, well then, if you don't want to say anything, why are you so? Did I totally kind of, you know, pull the carpet underneath your feet? Did I? Not my fault. Geshe-la's fault. It's Shafa's fault. You asked me to do this review on Geshe-la's teachings. I was a bit worried, but are you okay? No, I need to ask. Are you okay? Because you see, also with the Buddha Dharma, the good thing is you don't have to accept any of this. You have the liberty, the freedom to say, this I don't believe. This for me is total nonsense. I reject it. Nobody will get angry at you. I will still, if I know you, I will still consider you my friend. So that's okay. You know, this is what the Buddha says. Listen to these things. Check. Is my mind in accordance with this? Do I see the truth in this? When we see the truth, yeah, of course, we get depressed and sad. That's very normal. But then slowly, slowly, you get used to it. And as Shantideva says, whatever the mind is used to, it will come very easy. Like not going to the river, you know, just seeing, for me now, not going swimming to the river. And I really was a water person. I was in the water like all the time. So, but to see that this works. So you take another example, you know, don't take my example. Take one of your examples that you were so attached to that you could not have imagined to be able to live without this, without suffering. If you find something, concentrate on that and say, hey, it is possible. I can let go. And rejoice with all the people who are in the river, not being jealous of them. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Nobody even nods. Come on. Yeah. I tell you, I'm really looking forward to be able to meet you again personally, because I need something coming. I need some resonance here, because I'm not realized that I can feel resonance when you're just sitting in front of the computer. You need to at least do some body language. Okay? You really have absolutely no objections, no whatever.
It's understood, everything you said, but it's a bit harder to practice, I guess. We have to.
Yes, it's difficult. This is very good. Thank you very much. Yeah, this is it. This is what we have to be aware of. It hurts. It really hurts the same way as an operation hurts. If we don't have the guts to go and bear the pain of the operation, we cannot heal. We cannot heal. This is why, you know, dukkha, again and again and again and again and again. Think about the disadvantage of being attached, of being averse, having, you know, see your own suffering to stand under the control of these disturbing emotions. And for this, you need basic awareness. You need mindfulness. You need to sit down every day, at least 10 or 20 minutes, and just watch body, sensations, mind state. Without this, nothing will transform. And without renunciation, as Geshe says, which I don't have yet either, by the way, maybe I have it in the throat. I don't have it in the heart yet. Maybe I have it in the throat, from the head goes down to the heart. So I have it here. So it's kind of dawning on me that this is possible, not to be attached to the pleasures of samsara. When they come, I enjoy. And I'm very grateful for those people who give me these pleasant moments, but I'm not running after them. And your life becomes a bit boring, that is true, but you are much more content. Yeah, you're much, much more content. And then now the question is, do you want to be excited or do you want to be content? We have two things happening in Switzerland today. It's like the football club. The football
Harry
club.
said that he wants both.
Huh? Sorry?
I said that I want both. Sometimes this.
No, wait. We have two things in Switzerland happening today. It's the 1st of August, which is national holiday, which there will be no nationalistic speeches because there is no fires anywhere, no people gathering. It's the first time. And not so much firework, which is terrible for the animals, for the cats, for the dogs, for the environment. And Rami, I tell you, you don't want any of this. And the other one is the football club of Bern has become national master last night. They won their master, how to call it, champion. They're Swiss champions for the 3rd time. People being drunk, letting off firework at 3 o'clock in the morning, somebody terribly injured because of that, having to go rush to the hospital. The street is full of blood. It's very near here. And I was wondering, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, why are they letting off all these really loud fireworks? So people having headaches this morning, people catching the coronavirus because they were in hundreds, thousands in town, waiting for the team to come home, cheering them, all those. Now I can get angry at this. I can get upset about this. It doesn't change these fans. I can just make prayers that the coronavirus will not be spread through them and that nobody will suffer. But this is what I'm saying. This is what people call fun or good things that are happening in Switzerland today. Do you still want them, Rami?
No, not interested.
Yeah, there you go. But the river is nice. The river is very nice. Okay. So we still have 10 minutes, actually.
You can also go and just enjoy the view of the river without entering, right?
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't even have to go there, especially because I have to cross it. Because yesterday another nun came home from Italy, so I went to unpack the van. So I have to cross it with the bike or by foot. I have to cross the river, the bridge, and the river is underneath. Yeah, it is. I mean, I can show you pictures next time. It's like, it's amazing how beautiful the city is where I live, especially at the moment. Everything is green and everything is clean. And the fruit trees are full of like cherries and apricots. And I was in the valleys last weekend also, which is mountains where people go skiing. It's like, wow. But then also the other part of it. So the person I was staying with, she lives in Paris. She has an old mother. So then she spends months and months with her mother. Then she comes home. You can imagine the garden, with the grass and everything in the mountains. So what did we do the whole day? Slaving away in the garden under the boiling sun to cut the grass. So that's the disadvantage. If you want to make it look, this is what samsara is, yeah? If you want to make it look nice, then it's a lot of effort. Was it worthwhile to cut the grass? Yes, because otherwise she gets a fine. because now it's before 1st of August. So with the fireworks, so if you don't cut the grass, it's a law, then the sparks could put it alight, and there's a lot of forest. So this is how they want to prevent forest fires. This is why we cut the grass. Otherwise, we would have left it.
Dependent arising.
Huh?
Dependent arising.
Exactly. This is what I mean. Practicing Dharma depends on your motivation why you're doing something. If you say, I want to have a beautiful garden, and so people tell me what a wonderful gardener I am, this is flawed. Yeah. When you say, people, I want to have a nice garden because it will make people more relaxed and happy when they see my nice garden, then it's already a little bit more kind of, it's not so egoistic. But are they really worrying about your garden when people come to see you? We project that, yeah? We project, what will they think of me if my garden is so unorderly? What do you think? You think that most of the things we think that people are thinking about us, we project, or do you think they really think this?
We usually project. I think most people don't even think about the stuff that we think.
Exactly. Exactly. And we worry so much, putting on a few kilos, losing a few kilos, getting a few more wrinkles, losing a few more teeth. We worry so much. Somebody says something which I didn't understand. So I was also muted.
Sorry about that, Anilaja.
That's fine. But you can do that. It's okay. I usually notice it and then I open myself up again. Okay, so are you happy with what we did, at least? Or the reflection, did it make something clear? Did it maybe take away a little bit of the sting of Geshe-la, like trying to explain how to put this, how to not just say, okay, this is for the yogis and this is for the monks and nuns, but it's not for me. Geshe-la was teaching for you guys, okay? So did it help a little bit to kind of to see what you can do with these teachings about the beggar and just with the beggar, just this thing when you worry about your financial kind of whatever means, then go into the worry, feel it, and ask yourself, what does it help to worry? And be realistic. Then start to calm down, and then see what you can do. I mean, if you look under what circumstances people survive in the refugee camps, then, why would we worry so much? And especially the worries, it doesn't give you more money. It doesn't fill your bank account. It just depletes you of your serotonin, of your happy feelings. And when we find happiness that is not dependent on sense pleasures, then our life will become much cheaper. Yeah.
Anila.
Yeah.
But it's easier to help others when you have the means. And unless you are a great yogi that can help, with his realizations, when you're just a simple person like me, having money or properties or whatever, I can do with these things. I can help others.
Yeah, of course.
Being a beggar maybe is not will not be so good for me.
Yeah, I don't know. We can help in a limited way. We can help, but how can we help them? Just also to fulfill their worldly needs.
Yes.
Yeah. So if that's enough, then that's enough. Yeah. But if it's not enough, then better to, it's not that you have to give everything away and you have to become a beggar. What I'm saying, we have to see our worries about our own means. If we just really worry about others that I can't help them anymore if I don't have money, then that's fine, But are we really that pure That we only worry about the well-being of others if we don't have money? This is the question. You know, again, it all depends on the motivation. Yeah, like he's not saying this is it. You know, try to really see these two levels, like the level of attitude and the level of practicality, realistic, having to live in this world. This is what I was trying to kind of to bring that a little bit together.
Yeah.
That what you especially work on is your attitude, and especially when you lose something. You lose something, you know, or something gets stolen. The ego can make such a big thing. You know, you have your wallet stolen. Okay, with all your cards, cost maybe $200 and a lot of hassle to get them all back, but it's $200. But your ego makes like such a big thing out of it. These kind of trainings to say, okay, not pleasant, yeah, but karma. Oh, I have done this to somebody else. Now I have to be especially careful to be honest. Yeah, this is what I mean.
I felt a relief when I thought about my funeral. I thought that it maybe it will be nice that nobody will be sad, and
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
maybe I will invite it as a, you know, as a party. Maybe they can sing and dance and love themselves, and they don't have to be sorry for me.
Exactly. That was the purpose of the reflection, that at least maybe see the possibility that we could live happily for them
Yes.
if they don't suffer. If they don't suffer, oh, I forgot to put the sign, somebody, the door. But anyway, I'll leave them. Just to see the possibility that we could let them go when we have to go. And to see this kind of self-affirmation that we constantly need. It's a clear sign we are not in contact with our nature, that we need others to tell us, to like us, to love us, and all this. Yeah. You see, even if nobody loves you, you can still love everybody. Like, for example, when they say, okay, sorry, you're such an impossible person, we don't want to live with you anymore. Like a few old people, you know, nobody comes to visit them anymore because they have become so impossible. Yeah. So that we could think, oh, great, they're not suffering when I'm going. Yeah. And then it makes you less miserable about being left alone. Yeah, because we have no guarantee how we will become when we get old. I have a case like this at the moment. Somebody who is so angry and so bitter that, you know, nobody wants to work for her, nobody wants to be with her. She's about to move into a home. It will be the same story. It's very, very difficult to be nice to her because she is so demanding and bitter and this and that. So, yeah, Michal, thank you very much. So to familiarize ourselves with the thought, I will not be missed. It gives you such a relief. You become so much freer. Yeah. And then you can start working for others, because then you will not work for others so that they like you and love you and praise you.
Mm.
You know, like Geshe also said, if I do all these social works and I go around and say, hey, look at me, I did this, I did this, I did this. Yeah, it's nice for the people that you help, but for you, for your mind, is no good, because you just get attached. You see, these traps of doing good, they're quite present. You become more powerful, people are nicer to you, you have a good reputation and all this. Yeah. So, but this is a trap, because if you do it because of that, then it goes into the 8 worldly concerns. Okay, so let's see what the Geshe is teaching us next week. I was very happy to listen to his teachings. For me, these teachings give me so much more freedom. I don't have to go to a concert. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. It gives me so much more freedom. It doesn't mean that then I do like more more valuable things, by the way. But still, you know, I'm missing out. This one goes a little bit. It was so nice when we had to stay at home, you know, because sometimes I'm really too lazy to go outside. But in Switzerland, as children, we learn when the sun is shining, you go out, because the sun is not shining so often. So then staying home and being lazy and not going out, I felt like always bad. With the confinement, I thought, wow, great, I'm saving lives. I'm staying home. How fantastic. Yeah, this whole thing about having to participate in everything, this falls away a bit. And it gives us more space. I think you all noticed with the coronavirus, a lot of negative things came about, a lot of suffering, but also more calm and more quiet. Yeah, did you notice that? Not having to run around. And did you see how Geshe looks? You know, I'm so happy for all these teachers that they can stay where they are and teach with a computer instead of running around the world constantly. He looks really rested. He looks really well. Same for the Dalai Lama, same for Lama Zopa, like, you know, same for all the other teachers. And why are they running around the world? Not to become famous, but in order to be of benefit to us. That's why they will continue probably to do that when the world opens. Okay, so let's dedicate all the positive energy that we have created by spending this 1.5 and with Geshe 3 hours together. We can really rejoice. You know, don't forget to rejoice. We always, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. No, you're good enough. It's good enough for today. You listen to Geshe, you listen to me. How wonderful. So please rejoice. And all the positive that comes from it, because we planted very, very, very positive seeds in our mind to give us the freedom to be able to choose the meaningful things. Yeah. We planted those positive seeds. So we think, we share it with all the beings, you know, not even one excluded, no matter how bad the person is. We share it with all beings. May all beings be able to practice these things that are so helpful for the mind. May all beings have an open heart, a free mind, and be able to live our lives with joy and ease, where nobody suffers. Because this is our potential. Okay?
Amen.
Thank you.
Inshallah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
thank you, thank you. Bye
Fantastic.
bye.
Get the
Danila.
homework and see you next week, okay?
See you next week.
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.